Hey, shh. Calm down. The show is about to start. Reese on the radio. Turn it up. Turn it up low. Turn it up loud.
It's like a dream come true.
Turn on your radio. Reese is on the radio.
Yo, let's get it.
Due to the nature of this program, discretion does not exist. It's Reese on the radio. Right now on WTIC News Talk 1080.
Come on, Monday. I've been waiting to get back here. I am hot. I am bothered. But nonetheless, I'm excited. It's Reese on the radio on WTIC News Talk 1080. Thank you all for being here, as you always do. Definitely newcomers. Thank you for checking it out. You might be driving through the state or going to work or doing whatever. You may have had word of mouth. Hey, check out this Reese on the radio guy. You may have seen my viral X video today. I don't know what happened. We'll talk about that. And again, I'm only bragging about it because, again, I post from here and there. And sometimes in my own way, I kind of go, yeah, sure, I'll post this. I had this interview that I thought was interesting. I'll post it. But with no sort of idea in mind, it's like, yeah, the people are going to love this. I'm not that guy. I don't consider myself as some sort of influencer or someone who's trying to make it big on social media. I'm not that guy. But I got this text from City Hall, Adam, and it showed me this thing with Chris Murphy, and I just, as soon as I read it, I just went, goodness gracious, this dude. We'll get into it. It's part of headlines today, and we'll play you the audio if you haven't seen it and you're not, internet savvy like myself. I'm not internet savvy. We'll talk about that. Also, we got good news. We got tickets to give away today at the Premier Theater at Foxwoods. You could win a chance. We'll do it roughly in about the 5 o'clock hour. We'll let you know. But to just give you the reason why you should stick around, because I am going to make an announcement when you should call. But we are going to be giving away tickets to see somebody I'm a huge fan of. I DVR his afternoon or evening show every day, Monday through Friday. And that is none other than Greg Gutfeld, who is going to be at the Premier Theater at Foxwoods with his special guest, Tom Shalhoub, the comedian Tom Shalhoub, and sometimes fill-in host for Greg Gutfeld's nighttime show. So we'll tell you where that's going to be. It's called Gutfeld Live 25, and we'll tell you all those details about it and give you an opportunity to win. We're giving a pair away all week long. So stay tuned for that. Only call when we make the announcement. Like I said, we got headlines to get into. We've also got to talk about, of course, the story that is dominating the news, and that is the murder of Charlie Kirk. I know people are calling it the assassination, but it is a murder first. The assassination is politics. You have to call it what it is. I'm also going to rip to shreds a couple of people on my side of the aisle today, saying things that are ghastly, if I might add. And I know that the person I'm going to kind of go after, well, I guess I could just say, Glenn Beck. Some of you might be fans of his. I just have to address it. I have to address something that he said because I thought it was political opportunism, and I'm not a fan of that. Charlie Kirk is not a pawn. I know people want to paint it that way, but he's not. I know that some people look at this. Now, I'm not going to lie. Do I look at this in a political way because I'm a talk show host? Because I believe in having a strategy politically as a political party? Of course I do. I would be lying if I didn't say I hadn't thought about it. But I am very measured in how I talk about it. We'll get into that as well. But I got to talk about, in our opening monologue, this nonsense about both sides. Eat a bag of donuts. folks, all of you out there promoting the both sides nonsense in all of this. And any Republican who is echoing it so that they can seem fair and impartial because they don't want to riot or ratchet things up. You are not ratcheting things up by telling the truth. These people are calling for action in the streets. We have them on the record. We have their voices and them on video making these claims to attack people in the streets, telling people that they should pay. And I'm not talking about the innuendo. I'm talking about the direct attacks on people and their ideology, and people responding to such on television and having it be covered by mainstream news. There is no both sides to this. And what I mean by that is, are there Republicans who say inflammatory things? Yes, there are. But are liberals in more commonplace when it comes to this rhetoric? Yes, it does. In fact, I did a World Wide Web search of montages of Republicans calling for the things that are heard by Democrat politicians. And you know what he came up with? Donald Trump. And many people have argued with me, but Reese, Donald Trump is the president of the United States. But what about when he wasn't the president of the United States? He was a candidate to be the president of the United States. I'm like, okay, it's one guy. But what about all of the Democrats? Prominent, running for office, what about them? And people go, that's not the same thing. You can't hold them responsible. Nancy Pelosi went so far as to say that. We have her as well. Let's listen to her. Nancy Pelosi talking about how the comments made cannot be held responsible. Like Democrats cannot be held responsible for those comments.
People don't have any intention of saying something that's going to lead to something dangerous, but we cannot take responsibility for the minds that are out there and how they hear it.
Really, she didn't seem to feel that way when she was talking about Donald Trump in January 6th, which brings me back to the argument that people always make. It's like, yes, but he was the president of the United States. It's different. Okay, you're right. Here's Nancy Pelosi blaming Donald Trump for January 6th.
You did not divert the Congress from our solemn constitutional purpose to validate the overwhelming election of Joe Biden and Kamala Harris as President and Vice President of the United States. Despite the desecration of our Capitol, we upheld in front of the country and the world the bedrock principle that the people are sovereign and that they hold the power to choose their leaders through the ballot, rejecting this attempted coup on the part of President Trump and his supporters.
That's right. The attempted coup that Donald Trump and his words prompted. And you can stand here and say all day, that's right. He's the president of the United States. But let's go back to Nancy Pelosi saying the Democrats, because they're not in office, can't be made responsible for the things that people do.
People don't have any intention of saying something that's going to lead to something dangerous, but we cannot take responsibility for the minds that are out there and how they hear it.
Yeah, but you know what? Because I'm really, really good at this research thing and having all of my ducks in a row, I wondered whether or not Nancy Pelosi ever blamed Republicans and their rhetoric for the riots at the Capitol.
Accountability is also needed for Republicans in Congress who promoted the extreme conspiracy theories that provoked the violence, encouraged the mob, and who, after desecration of the Capitol, went back to the House floor and continued to push the falsehoods and underpinned this assault.
So if I'm hearing this woman correctly, the Republicans' words and repeated rhetoric drew people to the Capitol for the riot. But when they are responsible,
people don't have any intention of saying something that's going to lead to something dangerous. But we cannot take responsibility for the minds that are out there and how they hear it.
Now, what I am trying to convey here to all the denunts out there is the obvious. When Democrats are on CNN and MSNBC, or what is it, MS Now, what is it, now you, whatever that joke is over there, when I see these people on ABC News over Sunday, Sunday morning coffee, and all the rest of the networks talking about this whataboutism and how it's on both sides, my response to this is very, very plain and clear. The American people trust you with what's going on in political theater about as much as they trusted you on COVID, on masks working, on vaccine efficacy. You've never told the truth about anything, ever. You've never, ever once tried to influence people into believing your point of view. You've told us that that's the way it is. And if we so much as push back, we have been admonished for it. Now, I would say this to any and all liberals out there. I don't care who you are, rank and file, Joe Schmo, or elected office. Tell me the time where you spent an iota telling everybody else how they should behave in a persuasive way that did not include calling people racist, bigoted, fascist, homophobic. You smeared people. You threatened them. You casted them out of polite society if they didn't see things your way. It's never been your MO to change hearts and minds. It is to bully. So to now come at us and think that we're supposed to believe you when you say it's a both sides issue. After people witnessed the one guy having a conversation, when you guys won't, get shot in the neck live in front of thousands, and then tell us it's a both sides issue, who can take you seriously? Do you really think that we do? You can repeat it ad nauseum. Keep saying it, hoping that it catches fire, hoping that your rank and file Democrats repeat it as well. We understand why you keep saying it's both sides. Because there's one part that you can't deny. It is on your side. Even if you want to lump us in with it, you know it's your side. You have a murder on yours. You have a plain as day murder of a family man, 31 years old, who did the one thing you folks promised us after the 2024 election, and that was to talk to the other side. Anybody remember that? I remember it. I wrote it in my Substack article. You should go check it out. It's the opening line. After Kamala Harris lost the election, what did they tell us? That they were going to reach out to the other side because they had lost so many people. But what did you hear in the last 8-9 months? Did you hear a bunch of people start reaching over to the other side? Trying to, gain the attention of young boys or young men? No, not at all. They found new and inventive ways to attack the president and anyone who was on his side or pretty much voted for him. We had folks on TikTok admonishing people who voted for Donald Trump, who had a different ideology. Hell, this had been going on since 2015, where we had young people with children keeping their grandparents from seeing them. saying, you're supporting Donald Trump, you can't see your grandkids, holding them hostage. We had political figures, pundits, newspaper articles telling people to go after anyone. Their crazy uncle who was a MAGA guy. We had people saying that MAGA people had to be deprogrammed, calling them a part of a cult. Before we go to break, I have to play this. This is probably, I would say, a clear example of what I'm talking about.
This is just a warning to you Trumpers. Be careful. Walk lightly. And for those of you who are soldiers, make them pay.
That's a woman in elected office.
I will go and take Trump out tonight. And if you see anybody from that cabinet in a restaurant, in a department store, at a gasoline station, you get out and you stay in the crowd. And you push back on them. And you tell them they're not welcome anymore, anywhere.
Protesters attacking Trump supporters. Those supporters were attacked as they left the convention center in San Jose overnight. Some punched, some chased down and beaten. Others had bottles thrown at them.
The protesters shaking cars, breaking taillights.
So you literally didn't say anything to provoke them?
I was like, yeah, Trump. At another point, protesters followed this couple, violently harassing them. Police were there, armed in riot gear. But from what we witnessed, reluctant to initially stop or engage the protesters. Spat on, bottles thrown at them, then punches.
They go low, we don't go high. We take them to the mud and choke them out.
Donald Trump, I think you need to go back and punch him in the face.
That I thought he should have punched him in the face.
I feel like punching him.
Other Trump supporters beaten.
What happened? I was walking on the street and this guy sucker punched me in the back of the head.
You gotta be ready to throw a punch. You have to be ready to throw a punch.
I'd like to take him behind the gym if I were in high school. If we were in high school, I'd take him behind the gym and beat the hell out of him.
After a WSU graduate student allegedly attacked another student who was wearing a Trump hat, he is now facing an assault charge.
Take him out now.
When was the last time an actor assassinated a president?
Come on. Knock it off. We'll be back. More news, more views. It's Reese on the radio on WTIC News Talk 1080.
Listen to WTIC News Talk 1080 on the free Odyssey app. Download and like WTIC today for alerts on special programming.
Yeah, we're back. Reese on the radio. Make sure you go to reeseontheradio.com, WTIC.com, or download the Odyssey app. Whenever you want the program or you want to follow up on the program, you could do that right here. If you are or interested in watching the video version of that, you can find it on X. You can find it on Facebook. The reason why I say that is because I've never talked about this openly. I guess it was kind of like a behind the scenes, inside baseball kind of story. So two of the features, or at least one of the most important feature of the show, is my T-shirt collection. And I usually wear them as sort of emblematic of what's going on, either with me personally or on the show. And today is no different. I went to a company called Bohemian Cowgirl over the weekend, and they had this shirt which says "Stand with Charlie." They make their T-shirts there anyway. So everything that they had was in a small, and they found this shirt in a large. And at first I thought it was is that a woman's T-shirt? And she goes, "Darling, ain't no such thing as a woman's T-shirt." And I went, okay. So I grabbed it and I wore it today. So it says "Stand with Charlie" with an American flag. So I wanted to represent Charlie again today. And so when I saw the T-shirt this weekend, I grabbed it. If you're just joining us, we were talking about this issue with people running around talking about how it's a both sides issue when it comes to violent rhetoric. And I'm not disputing that the other side, meaning conservatives, do it. No one's making that argument. It's evident that people say things that are inflammatory. But when we're talking about actual violence, nobody beats the Democrats, okay? Here's more.
They're still going to have to go out and put a bullet in Donald Trump.
Trump supporter Arthur Schaefer, seen here earlier in the day, became a target later on. A mob chased him for a block and a half, took his flag, Trump hat, and glasses, and spat all over him.
Please, get up in the face of some Congress people.
People will do what they do.
I want to tell you, Gorsuch, I want to tell you, Kavanaugh, you have released the whirlwind, and you will pay the price.
People need to start taking to the streets.
Self-proclaimed Antifa activist Michael Reinell seen in newly released surveillance images stepping off the sidewalk moments before police say he fatally shot pro-Trump supporter Jay Danielson.
I just don't even know why there aren't uprisings all over the country, and maybe there will be.
You know, there needs to be unrest in the streets for as long as there's unrest in our lives.
Enemies of the state.
They go low, we kick.
How do you resist the temptation to run up and wring her neck?
I'd like to punch him in the face. I said if we were in high school, I'd take you behind the gym and beat the hell out of him.
Punch some people in the...
Where is John Wilkes Booth when you need him?
I have thought an awful lot about blowing up the White House.
And sadly, the domestic enemies to our voting system and our honoring our Constitution are right at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue.
They're not going to stop before Election Day in November, and they're not going to stop after Election Day. And that should be, everyone should take note of that on both levels, that this isn't, they're not going to let up.
People don't have any intention of saying something that's going to lead to something dangerous, but we cannot take responsibility for the minds that are out there and how they hear it.
All I'm saying is that if you can't take responsibility for it, we should have never had to deal with the bloodbath hoax. We should have never had to deal with the Liz Cheney firing on her firing squad hoax. We should have never had to deal with any of that if they were never going to be held responsible in the first place, if no one could be held responsible in the first place. And now people are standing around talking about, how do we address this? Donald Trump is still ratcheting it up. Do you know what they're describing as ratcheting it up or not telling everybody to calm down, to heal? What are they saying? He's pointing out that it is left-wing lunatics who are calling for this action. And if you don't believe me, let's take Jazzy Crockett and Tubbs, who says, and I quote, when she calls him a Hitler, it doesn't necessarily mean violence. Instead of just saying it doesn't necessarily. And the worst part is that she wants everybody to make sure that everyone focuses on Donald Trump when he was running for the presidency the first time around, making a comment about his polls, that his supporters are the most loyal, that said that if he were, well, you know what? We'll just break it down here. Here's those two individuals in their own words.
We've got to talk about like what it means when you're running for president or you're running for one of these higher offices and you go out there and you talk about beating people up. You go out there and you say things like, I could shoot somebody in the middle of the street in New York and I could still win.
They say, I have the most loyal people. Did you ever see that? Where I could stand in the middle of Fifth Avenue and shoot somebody and I wouldn't lose any voters.
And that's calling for violence against the opposing side?
Okay? It's like incredible.
We got to talk about like that is next level. Mm-hmm. Me disagreeing with you, me calling you, I want to be Hitler. All those things are like not necessarily saying go out and hurt somebody.
They're not necessarily saying it, but it could. That's what that means when someone says not necessarily. I mean, it could incite some violence, but that wasn't my intent. But it could happen. That's open admission. So again, this is what I keep trying to tell folks. You can't trust these people. You can't trust them with the truth. They have no interest in it. And right now, a perfect example of what I said earlier about trying to win hearts and minds, the news media started off by saying that this is violence being perpetrated by both sides. And now, today's mantra is Donald Trump isn't cooling the temperature, which in essence is how can we get right back to putting the onus on Donald Trump, even though a young man he considered his son was murdered 5 days ago. That it is he who needs to come down. Wasn't it Donald Trump's rhetoric that got him shot on July 13th last year? Wasn't it? Wasn't it all of his fault? Donald Trump has a tendency to say certain things and, he gets a certain reaction. We've been here before. It was I who told you last week, over and over again. This is a news media and a punditry that can excuse people leaving the church and joining Satanism. Because Donald Trump can be a little divisive. Donald Trump is so divisive, people are joining Satan. And it's justifiable, They didn't join Jesus. Think about that. They did not join Jesus as a counter to Donald Trump's rhetoric. Remember, he is Hitler. He is fascist. He is evil. And it didn't cause anybody to run to God. No one said, God, save us. Lord, Savior Jesus Christ, come down on the earth and save us from this evil man. No, they were writing articles about joining the Church of Satan. I don't have to write it. It is written, if we can use a biblical term. It is written in front of us. We're sitting here watching it. Nobody bothered to even ask you. Think about it right now. What some of you are going, yeah, that's right. That's right. You think that's bad? Let's go one step further. What happened after Charlie Kirk was assassinated? What happened this weekend? Did you go online? Maybe some of you didn't. Maybe you just rely on me to do that, and that's fine. I'm here to deliver. Here's what happened after Charlie Kirk, that fascist, that evil, false prophet. Here's what happened.
Charlie Kirk, look what you did. No parking. No parking at all. None. Had to park like 5 blocks away from church because everyone wants to come now. Amen. Thank you, Jesus. Thank you, Charlie.
We went to church today. It was the first time in 20 years for me and Devin. It was the first time for our children. After the events of the last week, Devin and I had a lot of talking that was happening between us about the type of life that we want for ourselves and how we want our boys to be. We talk about Charlie Kirk. We talk about a man of God who was not afraid to stand in his convictions in anything. And we are raising 3 boys that will one day be men. And we want those boys to be as strong in their convictions as Charlie Kirk was.
I didn't know Charlie Kirk, never met that guy before in my life. And something else that I've never done before in my life is believe in God. I'm going to wear this suit to church. I'm going to go to church. I'm going to try to be a better father, husband, and leader for my family. They deserve that.
Isn't it interesting? One of Donald Trump's acolytes is murdered, and people are inspired to go to church, while Donald Trump's election inspires those to go to Satan. We are not the same. Do you understand that? You heard Roseanne on this program, this very program, Friday, talk to Pastor Jacob Dell, the official pastor of the Reese on the Radio show, as she committed to turn her life over to Christ because of the passing of Charlie Kirk. You saw that, and then this weekend you saw millions of others, thousands of others, within a heartbeat, do the same. We are not the same. There are no two sides. It's the only point I want to make. Stop trying to sell us something. Stop trying to browbeat us into your belief system. You can't persuade us. You will only browbeat us. You will only yell at us. You will only command us to believe that both sides. We're done with that. This ain't COVID. We'll be back. Stand by. It's Reese on the Radio on WTIC NewsTalk 1080. You know, my wife is making me drink vinegar now. It's like every day is something new with this woman. Is it apple cider vinegar you're making me drink? Goodness gracious. I feel like a science experiment when this woman comes home from... What you're saying is to cut down on the sugar intake, right? I took a handful of taffy. 2 handfuls of... No, I didn't take 2 handfuls. Anyway, we'll get into that. I'm trying to stay healthy. I got you. You're going to definitely make me healthy. Let me play this before we go to a break. And we'll take your phone calls, folks. Stand by with the phone calls. With opening monologues on Monday, and everything I need to get to takes some time. It's nothing against you guys, but you know how the structure of this show goes. I get you all the information, and then we'll rehash it. I know people like to come in and it's like, hey, can we go back and talk about what you talked about in the first hour? Absolutely. I keep a list. It's called the show wrap. I have the whole deal in front of me. So if you want to go back to the beginning of the program to talk about stuff even we've moved on from, absolutely. If I might say, you know, my hero used to do it that way, and I'll continue to keep his format because it was righteous. I love his format. To get back to my point earlier, talking about how Democrats keep trying to insist that they're not doing the things that they're doing, even though there is documented evidence of it. Let me give you the latest example. Governor J.B. Pritzker was at a podium today in Chicago talking about ICE raids. One in particular that almost took the life of an ICE officer, which ended in the death of the person they were trying to detain. And Pritzker was asked during that press conference, do you ever regret calling conservatives or Republicans Nazis?
No, I have not. That is completely false. I have never called Republicans Nazis. I'm glad you cleared that up because there are some... Well, that's what they'd like to say. They're lying.
Are they, though, JB? We looked it up. February of 2025 in the State of the State budget address, during an annual address on February 19th of this year, Pritzker spent a significant portion warning about what he described as authoritarian tactics under President Trump. He referenced Nazis 6 times, stating it took the Nazis 1 month, 3 weeks, 2 days, and 8 hours and 40 minutes to dismantle a constitutional republic. Yeah, that's right. In August of 2025, he was talking about the National Guard coming to Chicago just last month. Specifically, August 11th, Pritzker again invoked Nazi parallels in response to Trump's threats to deploying the National Guard in Chicago, liking it to when the Nazi Party in Germany tore down a constitutional republic in the 1930s. Which in essence is exactly what he always does. So he says, I never called them Nazis. I just made comparisons. That is a lie. It's never a lie, folks, when it comes to these folks. And I know that there are people out there who are going to say, like, Reese, you're just ratcheting it up. No, I'm not. I'm calling a thing a thing. That's what you guys like to say. It's a thing. It's the thing that you do. You don't like conservatives or Republicans. And you damn sure don't like it when one of your own leaves the Democrats to join Republicans or conservatives. You are overwhelmingly hostile to people who do not see the world your way. We know that because we've experienced it in so many authoritarian ways. And you can blame old Sleepy Joe, but we know it's you. The Disinformation Governance Board, what was that about? When has it ever been a point of focus on people spreading rumor and innuendo? We've lived our lives talking about things that were rumor and innuendo. From the moon is made of cheese, the moon landing is fake, the earth is flat, Elvis is still alive, Biggie and Tupac are touring in Cuba. We've never once admonished those individuals. We poked a little fun, but we never actually asked the government to get involved. Never once. That's never been the case, ever. But when it was hurting a particular government, a particular presidency, they in secret sought to shut it down. They didn't tell the American people, which again makes a whole lot of sense. Why wouldn't you be transparent about it? Why would you go to court to fight people finding out that you were secretly behind the scenes telling everybody in social media to shut down speech? And we're not just talking about the average schmo, which then again doesn't make any sense. We're talking about actual educators, scholars, scientists. While you were running around telling us that we couldn't say anything about this, that, or the third because we were not trained professionals, you were sitting around shutting down real professionals who differed with you. Trust the science, except what they talk about. Yes, he's a scientist. Yes, he actually studies that particular thing that we're trying to get everybody on board. Yes, but, he doesn't see our way of it, and so we're going to have to shut him down. Stop it. There is no both sides. We know that. If anything, you're lying to yourself. We already get it. So at this point, don't bother. When we come back, headlines, stupidest thing I read today. It's Chris Murphy. We'll talk about the viral video because now it's over like 8,000 views. I'm actually impressed. And so much more. So go nowhere. Top of the hour news starts now with John Silva in the WTIC newsroom. Hey, John, let's get to some headlines. It should come at no surprise, or as no surprise to you, New York Governor Kathy Hochul, who had been reticent about showing her support for mayoral candidate Zohran Mamdani, has finally given in and wrote a New York Times op-ed piece that I would not dare or bother to read, to finally express her endorsement of Mamdani after all of the claims about, his deals with the Palestinian-Israel conflict. But she has decided to go full bore and support him now. One of the most prominent Democrats to do that, with the exception of Bernie Sanders and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. We have still not heard from Chuck Schumer or Hakeem Jeffries, who have kind of been in the dark as of late, but we'll see whether or not they come out and endorse him as well. It's getting incredibly close to Election Day in New York, and their non-endorsement says a lot. But I expect that to change in the coming days, so stand by for that. Another story that has been dominating the headlines are the amount of people who are losing their jobs because of Charlie Kirk, or their social media posts mocking the murder of Charlie Kirk, not the death. He did not wake up one day and die. He was murdered. And people mocking him have lost their jobs. A lot of people, prominent people, have lost their jobs. One in particular that I take note of is this woman that people are talking about from the, what publication is this woman from that people, I just saw it recently, some young woman from the Washington Post, was it? Yeah, who lost her job after making comments about Charlie Kirk, and there's a whole bunch of others. There's another controversial punk duo called Bob Villain, who said, "We did not celebrate the death of Charlie Kirk," and then the video was released, and that was exactly what he did. I'm not even going to share his vile comments, but he's a piece of trash, and his shows have been canceled. Holler. Also in the news, the Daily Beast has said that they have standards, according to a statement just released. They are removing a controversial article they wrote about Melania Trump having ties to Jeffrey Epstein, based upon a Bill Wolf conversation with Jeffrey Epstein suggesting from Bill, it was Michael Wolf, who suggested that Melania and Jeffrey Epstein had some connection. Weird. But the Daily Beast saying that this falls short of the standards at the Daily Beast has decided to pull the article. I guess because they were probably trying to avoid a lawsuit. But they're not. They're not going to air it anymore. And I guess everybody else who tried to say something about that article is like, oh, is that true? Now, of course, got egg on their face, as it goes. Now let's get to the stupidest thing I read today.
Yes, you do. Stupid as can be. This could very well be the stupidest person on the face of the earth.
Chris Murphy. I have no idea why he would do it. But I can only speculate. And I really do think I'm spot on with this one. He wrote a series of texts, but the opening text is the one that really got my attention. And it was all I needed. He writes, "Pay attention. Something dark might be coming. The murder of Charlie Kirk could have united Americans to confront political violence. Instead, Trump and his anti-democratic radicals look to be readying a campaign to destroy dissent." Now, why was I so outraged about this? He says, this is Chris Murphy, the murder of Charlie Kirk could have united Americans to confront political violence. Could have. But the reason why it doesn't is because Donald Trump may be, his words, doing something dark that could be coming. And so I responded to that because it wasn't even necessary. Everyone's trying to make heads or tails of this. I know the news media is going here, there, and everywhere trying to figure out how they're supposed to respond to this. But the fact that Chris Murphy would post it, knowing damn well that someone was going to say something about it, I couldn't resist.
Hey, what's up, guys? Reese on the radio here. I normally wouldn't even post about this, but when I got sent this from Twitter, I didn't even know how to react. So I hope this message gets to him. Chris Murphy, Senator Chris Murphy, I want this message to get to you. Dude, can you relax on being a piece of shit for like 5 minutes? Okay? Like, dude, just have a degree of decorum. Just chill out. I know you're sitting there patiently waiting, probably tapping your foot. Can we get back to bashing Donald Trump? No. Give it a damn minute. Just chill out. The country is mourning. The country is trying to sort out how it wishes to move on. And you are so desperate, like a crackhead, needing to get back to bashing Trump. I mean, have you not gathered enough donor money? Have you not fleeced enough people off of your disdain for Donald Trump that you can't take a break? Take a break. The rest of us are trying to sort it out. We haven't even taken the time to blame you yet, okay? We'll get to that. But seriously, dude, chill for a minute for the rest of us, okay? I get it. You can get back to Donald Trump in a minute, but just chill. It ain't about you.
And it isn't. It's not about him. But he needs it about him. And he needs it about Donald Trump. He is absolutely incessant, obsessed. And it's not so much that it's wearing thin, it's obvious. Now, I'm going to go there because you know me, I don't care. I don't care what people make of what I'm about to say. But I want you to think about this because that's all I could think about this weekend after I saw that post. In looking at Chris Murphy and his obvious obsession with criticizing and attacking Donald Trump at any given moment, whether it's related to him or not even related to the actual politics of the day, bear in mind, while we're trying to dissect what caused Tyler Robinson to grab a gun and get on a rooftop to kill a man in broad daylight, we're finding more and more information that suggests that this young man was obsessing about Charlie Kirk. Should somebody grab Chris Murphy and have an intervention and say to him, Senator, this behavior is alarming. I understand that you're going through a divorce as of recent. You've been overly obsessed and very involved with attacking the President of the United States. Should we have you sit down and speak to a professional? Should we have an intervention? Should we get to the bottom of it? Should we start asking questions about your mental state? That after a tragedy like this happened in the public square at a school for higher learning where young people were there engaging in conversation, they witnessed a murder. And you, who openly says, and I quote, the murder of Charlie Kirk could have united Americans to confront political violence. Instead, you found a way to blame this on Donald Trump. What's your role? This kind of behavior is troublesome, isn't it? Wouldn't this rise to a red flag in some way? I mean, I don't know how it wouldn't. I can go over his entire Twitter feed or X feed, whatever you want to call it, his social media platform, and you could see that there is a pattern, a constant pattern of talking about Donald Trump in a disparaging way. With what we're learning about Tyler Robinson, wouldn't it make anyone sort of grab him, pull him to the side, and maybe have a conversation? Perhaps have him see a professional?
Moment requires us to break norms. This moment requires us to take risks. And I get it. A lot of my colleagues said shutting down the government, being in a government shutdown, that's a risk. That hands power to Donald Trump and Elon Musk. But how on earth are we going to ask the American people to take risks for us? Right? When there's a 5-alarm constitutional fire and we need them to be out on the streets, not with hundreds, not with thousands or tens of thousands of people, but with hundreds of thousands of people, if we're not willing to show courage and take risks ourselves.
Wouldn't this raise some bells?
We're not going to convince Donald Trump to stand down in his attempts to destroy our democracy through de-escalatory politics. Like, that's just not happening. So our only opportunity, our only chance to save our democracy is to fight fire with fire right now. So, yeah, do I bemoan the fact that, we're now blowing up norms? Yes, but literally for 2 seconds, because if you spend any more than that being sorry for the fact that the old world doesn't exist, then your democracy is gone. Like, we're in a war right now to save this country, and so you have to be willing to do whatever is necessary in order to save the country.
This guy sounds like Tyler Robinson, doesn't he? Doesn't he sound like everyone who's ever written a manifesto? It's gotten so dire, folks. We have to do everything in our power. Every post, every way you turn around, social media, where is he going? We should start asking Chris Murphy, what do you do in your day? Are you online every day? He's doing these one-person videos every time, sitting alone in the room with his phone, posting more and more videos about the corruption and the lies and the grift and the constitutional crisis. We have to get out and fight. We're in a war. How is this not rigged? How is no one going, get this guy in a room? Let's talk to him. You're going to tell me that Chris Murphy, doesn't understand that this obsessive behavior must be toned down? Not for us, dude, just for him. Someone needs to be asking this guy. Now, look, I'm going to sound so messed up when I say this. But I wouldn't trust that man in the room with Donald Trump. Would you? I wouldn't trust that man in a room having a conversation with Donald Trump with rhetoric like that. Would you? I wouldn't look at that guy's ex-posts, the things that he says about Donald Trump, the things that he says about Republicans, the things he says about this administration, no matter who's in it. I wouldn't be in a room with this guy. Calling people to arms? Those are his words. I don't have to make it up. You heard them. I'm not going to be the person who's going to, say the C word. Ends with Y. I'm not going to call it. But this, again, there is a pattern that is quite similar with a lot of the folks that we end up afterwards going, really, what made him shoot up the place? What made him go batty? And then we find out when we go into social media, he was obsessing. He was writing in his journal. I mean, do we really have to pull out a red flag law on Chris Murphy at some particular point? Come on, seriously. Call it controversial all you want. But who talks like that? We're in a war? What does he mean? This is the point that I'm getting at. That's all I'm saying. And people aren't ahead of their skis. By question, I hear everybody. I saw everyone who took my post and was like, yeah, he's got to get his head out of his rear. He's only caring about himself and blah, blah, blah. Nah, I said this. You heard me. The first videos he started doing, sitting alone in the room, no dishes in the cupboard, sitting in a hollowed out kitchen, talking to the camera. I told you something else was going on. Now he's everywhere. Every chance he gets, he's somewhere else, in the newspapers, online, doing a podcast. Everything is dire at the point where, the sky is falling. And then something like this happens. We've got people on CNN who are actually going, yeah, it's getting a little hairy. I think we're going to have to tone it down. And what does Chris Murphy do? Opposite direction. The guy who's supposed to be the most reasonable person, the guy who's fundraising, getting millions of dollars, screaming that the sky is falling and it's all dire. And if we don't do something, it's over. Our democracy is gone. And then says, oh, I'm not running for office. No, that's not true. And what are you doing? Tone it down. That's all anyone's asking you to do, dude. It's like, again, get your head out of your rump and chill. We get the fundraising thing, but no. Other than that, see somebody. Get help. Somebody's got to tell me, and I'll take your phone calls when we get back, but somebody's got to tell me how this guy doesn't get to be just as seriously disturbed as some of the people we learn about who have decided to take matters into their own hands. Don't believe me? Go to his X site right now and go find something that isn't about Donald Trump or the Republicans for that matter. The guy's got a problem. It needs to be addressed. And I'm serious. I'm dead serious. It needs to be addressed. We'll take a break. We'll be back. More news, more views. It's Reese on the radio.
Don't wait for a breakdown to start thinking about your HVAC system. For a limited time, call the Bee and get your heating or cooling tune-up for as low as $99. A professional HVAC tune-up keeps your system running efficiently, helps prevent costly repairs, and ensures you stay covered under your manufacturer warranty. Visit callthebee.com. That's calltheletter.B.com to schedule your tune-up for as low as $99. Call the Bee, Connecticut. Plumbing, heating, cooling, and electrical professionals. Call the Bee. We'll be there and we'll be fair.
This is a special alert to all Americans who own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles with an auto warranty about to expire or with no warranty coverage at all. Due to a decline in the economy, CarShield is announcing a low-cost, month-to-month vehicle protection plan that is now available to the public to save any driver out-of-pocket expenses on future auto repairs. Call now to find out how you can pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. Yes, you heard that correctly. Pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. An open phone line has been established for all drivers to call for a free quick quote. Call 800-220-4067 now. Drivers who are covered will not have to pay for covered repairs again. This protection plan is at an all-time low. Additionally, drivers who activate this vehicle protection today will also receive free roadside assistance, free towing, and car rental options at no additional cost. Call us for your free quick quote today. 800-220-4067. That's 800-220-4067. What do you have to lose? Call 800-220-4067. Again, 800-220-4067.
You hear that?
1 minute.
Of your business losing money. Legacy phone system.
I don't know why I said that.
Teams. Open Phone gives your business a smarter way to stay connected. Open
That's right. We go bottom of the hour.
Calls, texts.
Yeah, I'm too busy, man.
Your team can deliver a seamless customer experience from ring to need to take calls on the go? Open Phone automatically transcribes, summarizes, and highlights next steps from every call, so you never miss a detail. Need insight into what closes a sale? With Open Phone's AI call tags, you can instantly spot key topics like objections or pricing questions, and use those insights to coach your team and level up every customer interaction. And yes, you can bring your existing number with you for free. Keep your team in sync and your customers happy with Open Phone. Open Phone. No missed calls, no missed customers. Try Open Phone for free at openphone.com/try and get 20% off your first 6 months. That's openphone.com/try. openphone.com/TRY.
And now, a WTIC news update.
It's 3:30. Good afternoon. I'm John Silva, WTIC 1080 News. Partly sunny skies. It's 78 degrees. We'll have the forecast details coming up. A domestic violence incident in Enfield leaves 2 people injured. Just before 1 this morning, officers were called to a home on Post Office Road. Husband and wife were injured at the scene. Woman sustained a serious head injury, the man a hand injury. Shots were reported fired from 2 different firearms, but no one was hit. The man was treated for a partial finger amputation, say police. The woman is in Bay State Medical Center in Springfield. Teenager's dead after police say he crashed his motorbike over the weekend in Hebron. 14-year-old Eric Brooker, police say, was riding west on Burnt Hill Road just before 5:30 Sunday. Apparently lost control of the bike near Cone Road and was thrown from the vehicle. He was pronounced dead at an area hospital. Yukon police investigating after they say a person was assaulted over the weekend. Officers say the alleged victim got into the car of a DoorDash driver to complete a transaction in the Hilltop Apartments parking lot and was assaulted. The person was able to get out safely. They say the suspect, described as a Hispanic male in his 30s, left in a 1998 gold Toyota Camry. Word of a framework deal between the U.S. and China for TikTok, that according to the Treasury Secretary, after a weekend of trade talks between the U.S. and China in Spain. President Trump is planning to speak with President Xi of China later this week. FBI Director Kash Patel says DNA on a towel wrapped around a rifle found near where conservative activist Charlie Kirk was assassinated matches that of the 22-year-old accused in the killing. Patel told Fox News today that they also have DNA linked to the suspect with a screwdriver recovered from the rooftop where the fatal shot was fired. And the U.S. and Israel have shown a unified front amid international anger over Israel's airstrikes on Hamas leaders in Qatar. Secretary of State Rubio met with Prime Minister Netanyahu earlier today. WTIC News Time 3:32. Here's the forecast.
Dry, tranquil weather will continue across the area through at least midweek. A mix of sun and clouds the rest of this afternoon. The high around 80, a few degrees warmer than what we typically find in this part of September. Partly cloudy tonight's a late night fog, low 53. After the fog burns off, a mix of sun and clouds tomorrow, high 79. Partly cloudy tomorrow night, low 52. Wednesday, a little cooler, a mixture of clouds and sunshine, high 73. Back to warmer weather on Thursday. I'm meteorologist Bob Larson of the WTIC Weather Center.
From the WTIC 24-hour traffic network, looks like an earlier crash in Meriden on the Parkway has been cleared. Still working that problem down in Westbrook. 95 South closed between exits 65 and 64 with a crash involving an overturned tractor trailer. For these stories and more, go to WTIC.com. I'm John Silva, WTIC 1080 News.
Compassionate counsel and proven results. AlairElderLaw.com. AlairElderLaw.com.
It's summertime. If you're between the ages of 17 and 25, now's the time to check your wisdom teeth. Impacted wisdom teeth can cause a lot of unnecessary pain. So let Columbia Dental remove them sooner than later. Call 860-645-0111.
Hey there, cats and kittens. It's Brian from The Commercial Break, the mediocre comedy podcast where my best friend Chrissy and I attempt to make sense of the world. We talk about the absurd, the ridiculous, and the stuff no one asked for, like internet weirdos, pickup artists, and why everyone is obsessed with crystals and colonics. It's all got to stop. The show is free, it's frequent, and it's probably not for everyone. You can go to tcbpodcast.com, subscribe at youtube.com/The Commercial Break, or check out the show wherever you listen to podcasts. We'll see you on the next Commercial Break. And best to you.
Erectile dysfunction affects nearly 50% of men over age 50. But even with so many men affected, finding a trusted provider to treat the condition isn't so simple. This is Dale for Northeast Men's Health, a Promedic restorative health practice, and I'm excited to announce the opening of our newest location of Northeast Men's Health in Warwick, Rhode Island. As a Promedic affiliate, Northeast Men's Health can offer men with ED the latest treatment protocols, which are shown in medical studies to be effective in well over 90% of men. And unlike groups that only offer wave therapy or online pharmacies that just sell pills, we offer a variety of treatments to help get you the results you want. You should also know that Northeast Men's Health is a true medical practice, which means our providers have access to a complete range of treatment options to get you back on track. So call Northeast Men's Health today. Your initial visit is only $99 and includes a medical consult, blood work, and if medically advised, a test dose. And if that test dose doesn't work in the office, your visit is free. Call 800-930-5956. That's 800-930-5956. Or go to northeastmenshealth.com.
Hi, I'm Joe with SimpleSaleUSA.com, and I buy houses cash. If you own a house and want to sell it fast at a fair price, call me at 203-896-4000. I can pay cash and close in as little as 7 days. I buy houses in any condition, any price range, and more importantly, anywhere in Connecticut. I'm a private real estate investor who buys several houses a month, and I want to buy more. I buy inherited houses, divorce houses, behind in payment houses. I even buy my tenant won't pay me the rent houses. Do you own a house that is trash and needs thousands of dollars in repairs? Great, because I love buying junk houses. I buy vacant houses, abandoned houses, condemned houses, and even foreclosure houses. If you own a house and want to sell it fast, call me at 203-896-4000. That's 203-896-4000. 203-896-4000.
Life insurance. Why are you putting it off? Can't afford it? Too much hassle? Think you don't need it? There's lots of excuses for putting off life insurance. But if you weren't there, who would pay the mortgage and other bills? With Ethos, you could be covered in 10 minutes and boom, family protected. Ethos, fast and easy online term life insurance. Up to $2 million in coverage with no medical exam. Some policies as low as $1 a day. Answer a few health questions and get your free quote at getethos.com. That's getethos.com.
If Ernest Hemingway was alive today, would he say this to you?
Shakespeare, Mark Twain, Edgar Allan Poe, all great writers. And after reading your book, I simply must add you to the list.
Wait, you don't have a book yet. So make a free call to Page Publishing. Turn your book idea into publishing gold.
800-215-6818. 800-215-6818. That's 800-215-6818.
You're listening to Leaf Filter Radio, and the guru of gutter protection himself.
is here to take your most pressing leaf-related questions.
Hey, everybody, Chris here. I understand we have Ron on the line. Ron, where are you calling from?
Uh-oh. Ron, are you calling from a ladder?
Well, I was. I wanted to ask Chris what I need to do to get my gutters ready to have leaf filter installed.
Oh, Ron, you don't have to do anything. A Leaf Filter Trusted Pro will come out and clean out your gutters, realign and seal your gutters, and install Leaf Filter, America's #1 gutter protection system.
So I didn't need to get on this ladder?
Ron, Leaf Filter Trusted Pros are in your neighborhood and ready to help. Just visit leaffilter.com/deal to schedule your free gutter inspection and get up to 30% off.
Thank goodness. What was that site?
Filter.com/deal for your free gutter inspection today. See representative for warranty details. Promotion is 20% off plus a 10% senior or military discount. One discount per household.
Whoa, hold up. Let's not put all 100 candles on the cake. Slow your roll. That's a fire hazard. And there's expensive radio equipment in here. And I'm not quite sure what I'm wearing is fireproof.
We're back. Reese on the radio on WTIC News Talk 1080. Getting to your phone calls in a second. I just kind of did this to bring my point in, to bring it home. Key observations from recent posts: volume and frequency. Chris Murphy's posts multiple times per day, with at least 15 to 20 recent posts retrieved from the last week alone. Of these, 90% directly reference Trump, his allies, including Laura Loomer and Stephen Miller, or Republican enablers in a negative light. Demonization, economic harm, media and censorship, violence and rhetoric. In a simple search about Chris Murphy's online presence. With everyone talking about these little ecosystems of radicals, this guy, of his own doing, fits the bill. He may not be calling for violence, but the obsessive nature of this is problematic. That's all I'm saying. By any other measure, people would be concerned. Dude, aren't you kind of obsessing? Let's go to Kim. Hello, Kim.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm pretty good, trying my best. What's up?
Oh, okay, so today I watched on the Charlie Kirk show, the first half of it was nothing. It was the same as usual, everyone calling in or talking about Charlie.
Mhm.
But then Vice President Vance was on and he gave a speech. Actually, it was an informative speech, and it has to do with the fact that soon after he had talked to Erica Kirk and everything and helped her with what's going on. There was an article in the Nation, which is well respected, goes back to the Civil War, and it says, now this is, by the way, the Nation is funded by the Ford Foundation and Soros's OSI Foundation.
Very familiar with them.
Right. And there's other progressive foundations like the Kellogg, and the worst one is the Rockefeller Foundation. Evil stuff is done in these foundations. So, like start wars, start problems. Anyway, the story was that this woman in the Nation had written an article. Her name is Karen Attiah, Attiah.
Okay.
And she accused Charlie Kirk of saying black women do not have the brain processing power to be taken seriously.
I do remember that. I do remember that quote being bandied about by a lot of liberals.
Yes. Well, he didn't say that.
Oh, we know
actually. She actually put on a clip that was, she didn't do her homework. It's amazing how they don't do their homework, right? The lefty progressive reporters and media. She had linked to, the clip came from Blue Sky, the left-wing kind of media center.
Sure.
So this is a smear. People are believing it. But Washington Post, apparently she writes for them, so they fired her.
I did see that.
And now she gets to turn around and claim because she's black, she's being fired.
Right.
Instead, what was happening with Charlie Kirk, he was actually talking about affirmative action.
Yes. And he was talking about DEI and affirmative action and how that is, in essence, that I think part of it was, and correct me if I'm wrong here, Kim, a part of this sort of smear of Charlie Kirk in talking about affirmative action and DEI was not even taken out of context. It was chopped. What he was saying was, all of my life, I would have never been concerned about a black pilot, so to speak, like one of the references he makes. But because of the advent or the introduction into, taking affirmative action and putting it on steroids through DEI, now I'm flying in a plane with a degree of, caution, which in essence means that they're lowering the standards by their own admission, that they're lowering the standards, and by news reports that the person that is being hired is no longer, quote unquote, qualified. They're just meeting that mark, which is as simple as their skin color.
Yeah, so we're worshiping affirmative action or whatever else. Is it DEI or whatever it is? That's what they're trying to promote.
Yeah.
But I just want to let you know, a lot of the media is controlled by foundations. And people need to see the link. It's a historical link. You get this link by reading the book, The Shadow Party, by David Horowitz.
Mm-hmm. I remember. Just passed away.
Yes, that's true. And he needs to get the Freedom of Honor medal, too.
He does.
What happened in 1898, foreign forces from Europe wanted a central bank in the United States, and they couldn't get it, because the Supreme Court said no. You'd have to have a major change in the country. So they pushed through in 1912, 1913, Christmas Eve. They pushed through that they could have a federal income tax. That's the money coming in. The Federal Reserve, that's the processing center. And the third and most deadly is what we're dealing with today. And that is these trusts and foundations where you never get to know what the billionaires are doing. They are starting wars. They are putting in presidents. They are putting in politicians.
I know, Kim. We've dealt with that. I promise you that we will at some particular point. Let me get some other phone calls in, but I appreciate you, Kim. Thank you. Yep. Let's go to my man, Simsbury Joe, or as I'd like to call him now, Clairvoyant Joe. It's his new name. What's going on, buddy? How are you?
Yeah, I still got that clairvoyant thing that's pretty much getting cranked up the more that I learn about what's going on here. So right after this happened to Charlie Kirk, the same day, you and I talked about, we had both seen that same video.
Yeah.
And I said to people, don't watch the video. You'll never be the same.
Yeah.
And I got to change my mind here. And I'm going to be very specific about who I say this to.
Mm-hmm.
If you at any point since this has occurred believe that this is nothing, that this is anything less than the most vicious murder planned by a group of trans people, and in your mind you're thinking, maybe now we can all get along, I want you to watch the video. Because it means to me that you're just not getting it. I've been spending a lot of time on different sites like TikTok, Reddit, Blue Sky, and these people who we can't identify who they are.
Sure.
And they're definitely not all bots. You can tell when you start to
you see a pattern, so to speak.
You can absolutely see a pattern. These people are something we've never seen in society before. We're to explain it in a different way. This is not red versus blue.
Right.
This is insanity versus humanity.
Mm-hmm.
Because in our hearts, even if you are someone who is on the blue side and you didn't like the guy, as a human being that he's a good person. He was a husband. He was a father. And if you didn't like him and you're willing to make the effort, you could go talk to him and tell him what you think of what he has to say. So he didn't deserve to die. And if you at this point are not beyond furious, where you're ready to go to war against these low IQ, repulsive, demonic, psycho weirdos who are planning more stuff, then we have a big problem. Because these people, and this is going to be really strong, these are children of Satan.
As I said,
as children,
that's what they're joining. They're joining that cult and making it very clear. They're not hiding it.
Well, what did we learn as children? It doesn't matter if you're me or you or Tim from Hamden or where you grew up.
Mm-hmm.
You learned one thing. You don't celebrate murder and pain.
That's right.
You don't do it. That's put in us before we even learn to read. And these people are not just people who are politically on the other side of the aisle. They have forgotten their humanity. They don't want to pick up their humanity again. These people are dangerous. We're going to find out, and here's the clairvoyant, Joe. We're already finding out that they're looking at social media sites. This is going to be bigger than what we thought, and it's not going to be the last one.
Yeah,
this
we need to.
Trans group is bad news.
Bad
news.
It's I almost thinking of like a post 9/11 footing of us as Americans, where people thought that we were sort of a little, hard lined when it came to sort of stopping threats in their track. And everybody's like, after the fact. I totally get where you're coming from, because, again, there's sort of that sentiment that says if you are not focused, people will take advantage of your inability to call the thing a thing or to react to a thing that is a thing. So, yeah, I get exactly where you're coming from, Joe. I do. We got to.
The thing is, Reese.
Yes, sir.
Real quick here. Is that this is not just Tyler Robinson and his trans partner.
Right.
This is one of those things where you have multiple people who, some of them probably were standing right there sharing it.
Yeah.
We know many of them were on social media. They're just trying to figure out who they are. Between all those human brains and all those people that I said were before they ever became trans or left wing or whatever, they all said nothing. This is an evil that cannot be addressed by education. It's an evil that should not be addressed by treating them as human beings. It's going to get bad. They're going to do it again, and it's going to be worse. It's just.
I'm concerned. I'm concerned every day, because I feel like there's a degree of sort of like a bait and switch with now the news cycle talking about prominent Democrats are deciding not to do public events. I'm going, you guys have been doing public events for a year now, and there's never been an issue, even when there's been opposition there. So I don't get this nightmare, but I mean, this nonsense, but so it goes. Thank you, Joe. I appreciate you, sir. I'll get to this, what Joe just talked about with the people online celebrating the death of Charlie Kirk and the murder of Charlie Kirk and losing their jobs. I want to address that when we get back. So stand by. We'll get to that as well when we return, plus more of your phone calls. So if you want to, please do. 860-522-WTIC. It's Reese on the radio on WTIC News Talk 1080.
It's Reese on the radio on News Talk 1080 WTIC.
Yeah, it's nice to see my wife finally come down a little bit about this whole Charlie Kirk thing. It is, she can't, of course, as many of you are probably experiencing as well. Like whenever she sees him or sees a post about him or some special. Fox had a good special with Jesse Waters on the weekend about him and where he, his life, turning point, 18 years old, being on Fox News for the first time. A lot of that stuff was good. I kind of felt like it reminded me of watching, not because the two are the same in any way, but you watch a documentary about somebody you follow, you never learn anything new. Like, and I didn't follow Charlie Kirk in the sense, like I didn't follow him on Facebook or anything. I just knew a lot about him, and I understood how instrumental he was politically. So when you watch a documentary about a guy and you find nothing new from it, sometimes you feel a little bit like, oh, all right, I thought I would learn something maybe I didn't know about him. And that didn't happen. And it reminded me of when I went to go see the rap biopic of Notorious B.I.G. And I was excited to see it. I was like, oh, let me go check that out. And then I checked it out, and I just went, yeah, I knew all this stuff. So I guess because of my time during record label stuff, it almost hurts the experience in some way, because I was hoping that somebody would have told a story that maybe we didn't share. The only person who did that was Benny Johnson. Told a great story about when he was his home was attacked, and his wife and his young child were there, and his family was under threat. And Charlie Kirk told Benny to come all the way to, I think, Florida, to come and stay with their family, and they did that. And Benny never told the story. He's like me; don't tell the story until afterwards. I never got a chance to meet Charlie Kirk, but I definitely knew his impact. So that's the reason why I'm going to celebrate him. I'm going to continue to celebrate him. We'll get to more of your phone calls, because I know you guys want to, now that you've had sort of the weekend to go over it and sort of take it in, and with new information coming out about the killer, you probably want to share that. And I'll share your thoughts on that, and that'll be fine. I know that the President of the United States has got a Oval Office memorandum that he is going to sign. I can only presume that it's related to Charlie Kirk. I haven't heard what the reports are. I'm not really looking at the news today. Tells NATO allies to stop buying Russian oil, and that's something else. So we'll find out what that is, and if it's important, we'll join it in progress as well. Before we go to our first check of weather and traffic, I'll spend a minute on this. Those of you who are outraged about people being fired because of social media comments about Charlie Kirk, it's not for me to say whether or not you deserved it. It isn't. To be honest, I don't care. Whatever that company decided to do, that is their right to do that, as much as it was your right to post what you posted. I've said on this program, and I'll say it over again, I've been saying it for maybe 10, 12 years, is that free speech is a tightrope. That's all it is. It's a tightrope. You can say whatever you want, but the reaction to it, you have to be able to hang on to the rope that you are walking across. Some people fall directly over. Some people stay on and they weather it. But that's the risk you take, and understand it when you take that tightrope walk about your free speech. I'm not suggesting that you don't have a right to it. Of course you do. Charlie Kirk fought for you to have that free speech right. But the sad part about it is that you're now screaming for the free speech you never wanted him to have. It almost makes you think maybe if he were around, he'd be fighting for you. Just a thought.
It's Reese on the radio.
And don't say we didn't warn you on News Talk 1080 WTIC.
Savory, flavory, bagel, deli, and bakery. Between rounds, between rounds, between rounds.
Let's get back to congratulating our Between Rounds winner, John O., who is in Newington, Connecticut. He is today's recipient of the Between Rounds dozen bagels a month for 6 months, courtesy of Between Rounds, the Bagel Bakery and Sandwich Cafe. If you would like to participate, you've only got to go to reeseontheradio.com. That's REESE on the radio.com to apply. Put your information in there. Make sure your telephone number and your birth date are there. And you could possibly win. You must live in the state of Connecticut. You cannot have won within the last 6 months in order to apply. And don't forget, Between Rounds is the Bagel Bakery and Sandwich Cafe located in South Windsor, Manchester, and Vernon. Also coming up, we've got tickets to give away to go see Gutfeld live. These 2 tickets will get you to the Premier Theater at Foxwoods on September 21st at 6 p.m. We'll be giving out a pair every day this week. Yeah, every day this week. So we will give them out roughly at about 4 o'clock. We will tell you when to call, so stand by for that. Now, when we come back, I will take your phone calls, but I want to address another thing. And Kim brought it up earlier in the show, just a little while ago to be exact, about the people who were smearing Charlie Kirk and either taking the things that he said out of context or bringing focus to them about what he stood for, what he believed in, I need to explain to you why this tactic is being used. And I don't want people to be upset that people are doing it. I had a back and forth with Tim in Hamden online, and he is the perfect example of what I am talking about. So stand by. I'll explain that. Plus, we'll get back to your phone calls at 860-522-WTIC.
It's Reese on the radio on News Talk 1080 WTIC.
Yeah, we're back, and we'll get your phone calls in a second, so stand by for that at 860-522-WTIC. The phones are busy. Give us a minute. We will get back to them as soon as possible. And we got a full line, so I'll try to try to get everybody's comments out and just be brief, and we'll get to the next person. But I want to say this before we get to those phone calls. So I was having this exchange online with Tim and some others who are not fans of Charlie Kirk. And from what I understand, have always expressed that they were not fans of him. I don't know. I don't follow people like that. Usually don't follow the opposition. I'm not scouring them to find out what they're saying next, like, my good friend Chris Murphy does. I'm not, all obsessed about them. I understand that they believe what they believe, and I don't care. I leave them be. But what I noticed from a lot of these folks, whether I know them personally or not, is that they keep talking about the things that Charlie Kirk has said that gives them pause or anger. And they also use lines like, he wasn't a martyr. He was no angel. Howie Kurtz from Fox News Channel said that this weekend. He was no angel. And I kept asking myself this one question. Charlie Kirk is dead. Charlie Kirk can speak no more. His words are out there, but what's with the obsession with having to tell people these things that you are at odds with Charlie Kirk? And it dawned on me, as simple as the question is, it's not about hating Charlie Kirk. It's about the influence he has and those people trying to quell it. See, I told you, when you're on the left, it's not about winning hearts and minds. It is about admonishing you for your beliefs when they are contrary to their own. That's the reason why they're saying all these things. He was a bigot. He was a homophobe. He was transphobic. He was this and he was that. You're yelling at a ghost. Or are you yelling at us? So you have no interest in getting us to your point of view. There will be no swaying. There will be name calling. If you support Charlie Kirk, you're a fascist just like him. Yeah, which means what? That I should go the way of Charlie Kirk? Tell me what all of this means. And all you have to do is just keep saying to them, Charlie Kirk said such and such. So? So what? Yeah, what do you mean, so what? What do you mean, so what? No, exactly that. So what? So did he deserve to die? Well, no, I never said that. Well, I never said that you said it. It was a question. There's a question mark at the end. So he deserved to die? And what you'll notice, try it with your friends. What you'll notice is they will deny they ever said it, but never answer the direct question. Did he deserve to die? Just say no. Not, I never said that. I never said you said it. I asked you, what is the point of bringing up what Charlie Kirk said? What is the point of reiterating his commentary? He's dead now. You've extinguished, or they have extinguished his life. He is no longer a threat to you unless there's something else. And that is, he is a threat. They know that Charlie Kirk acolytes are growing. more and more people are going towards his message. More and more people are influenced by him. They know that it's growing, and they have literally anointed themselves as the people who are going to put a stop to it. Not by finding your better angels or reaching out to you in a way that sort of influences you or some sort of way that might get you to come their way. No, don't go that way. Charlie's not a good person for you. No, they demand it. They shout at you. They scream at you. They call you names. They bash him and stomp on his name. They celebrate his death, celebrate his murder. Why? If it's not to influence, because that's what I would think. The conversation everyone else is having is, how do we bridge that gap? Well, it's impossible to do when you have people sitting up here saying that he was this, that, and the third. Okay, and what? Do you have a problem with his free speech? You must. Because that's what it is. He had a right to say what he wanted to be. Just as much as you were running around here screaming and hollering about, I shouldn't get fired for my job. I said that on social media. That's my free speech. What are you talking about? What free speech? You mean the one that you extended to Charlie? You mean the free speech that you've been fighting for the past 4 or 5 days? Like the rest of us? What free speech? All you did was keep pointing out what he said. You kept having to remind us. He said this, that, and the third. You might be editing what he said. You might be lying about what he said, but that's all you can tell us. He said this, and this. As an answer to his murder. Think about it. It's not an answer to him being jailed. It's not an answer to him stubbing his toe. It was an answer to his murder that you're pointing out what he said. And then when you are dancing on his grave, saying horrible things about his wife and his children, and then when you get fired for it, all of a sudden, you're on Charlie's side. I demand free speech. No. If your company says that your free speech doesn't matter, the only thing I can say to you is, back at you, kid. Back at you. I said this before, and it's a beautiful thing, folks. I got raked over the coals on this very network when I was filling in, back in the filling in days, when I talked about, the bad guy. You know who? Old Alex. I said that day was going to come where you'll all be screaming about free speech. You'll all be doing it. But what about? No. Again, a tenet of this program is you set the tone that we abide by. Charlie Kirk's free speech had to be quelled. When I asked one person, when I posted on my Facebook page, what did he deserve? You know what one person had the guts to say? To be deplatformed. To be deplatformed. Shut up. But it asked that person about their own freedom of speech. It's always different when it comes to them. You know what other excuse I hear? This is my other favorite excuse. But Charlie, I'm just some guy who works at a 9 to 5. Charlie had a big platform. He could influence more people. Me, I'm just some schmo. Which means what? Charlie Kirk's speech was more important than yours or less important than yours? Why? Because he had a wider reach? You don't see each other as equal? Yeah, that's it, folks. That's the left right there. Never seeing anyone as equal. Seeing protected classes. Seeing people based upon their color, their gender, their sexual orientation. They're obsessed with it. It's the justification for their ill will. That's why I don't want to hear any nonsense. I don't give a damn about a story who got fired for anybody. I don't give a damn. I don't care. Which is exactly what should have been done when it came to Charlie Kirk. It should have been Charlie Kirk has a right to say what he says and believe what he believes, even if can't exist in your own worldview. Just mind your business. Just keep it to yourself. I don't care what you say. I don't care that you want to stomp on him, on his children, on his wife. I don't care who you want to stomp on. I don't care who you want to call, whatever you want to call. Go do your thing. I'm not losing my mind about it. I haven't once run around and just said, and in fact, I started it right here. While everyone was calling this show, talking about, yeah, you see what they're saying about him online, Reese? I'm like, yeah, so what? It doesn't matter. And it's not so much about giving rise to it or putting a platform on it. It is, I look at these people and I go, do you understand that those people are trying to get notoriety over the death of a man? By saying how outlandish and cruel that they could be? Why would I pay attention to that? And I understand the thought, well, Reese, what about the Chris Murphy thing? That's an elected official, which goes to the heart of what we're talking about. Why did Tyler Robinson murder Charlie Kirk? Because of the rhetoric of folks like Chris Murphy. Those people have a responsibility to not serve their party, but to serve their constituents. And Chris Murphy knows damn well whether his constituents voted for him or not. He has a duty to uphold the Constitution and work for them, regardless of their political affiliation. So when he smears them for their beliefs, he is smearing people he is elected to represent. Yes, he's held to a standard because that's his job. But some bozo online, I don't care what he says about Charlie Kirk or his family. It doesn't affect me. In no way does it. Why? Because I've got clear focus. The things I care about are the things that I care about, and I'm watching people. I'm online watching people. I'm watching them celebrate that man. I'm watching Turning Point USA grow in numbers. It's overwhelming. Let me share something with you. Let me share this with you. According to YouGov, they polled 3,900 U.S. adults on September 11th with a margin of error of 3.2 percentage point. They found that 79% of respondents viewed Kirk's killing as indicative of broader problems in American society. 7% saw it as an isolated incident. 14% said it was unsure. They did another poll with 2,600 adults in one segment. 78% of Americans said it's unacceptable to celebrate the death of a public figure. 9% found it acceptable. 9. Why would I pay attention to 9? They have no weight. The only weight they have is the weight you give it. That's why I don't care. I have people on my Facebook page admonishing me for what I believe and who I support. And my response to them was, so? Do you really, really think I give a damn about your opinion? Do you really think that I give it that kind of weight? Do you think that you have some sort of influence over me because you're on my Facebook page telling me what you disagree with? That's awfully delusional, son. Nobody cares about what you think. You're in the minority. The very small minority. That's why you're screaming, trying to appear bigger than you are. We don't care. Those of us who know better don't care. Charlie Kirk is going to have an impact. He's having a huge impact. Even The View and Whoopi Goldberg is recognizing it. And that's the same woman who said that Donald Trump's granddaughter at the convention was trying to humanize Donald Trump, and we can't let that happen. And that woman's on The View with a completely different point of view today, saying that killing someone only makes their voice louder. And went on to reference John F. Kennedy and Martin Luther King Jr. And to that, Whoopi Goldberg, I applaud you. the most honest thing ever said on The View. Y'all can all get it together. You can. I told you you had a choice. Let the rest of those lunatics lose their minds, scream and holler, spin like a top. Let them do it. That's fear. That's all it is. It's fear. He's going to get more followers. He's more important now than he ever was. He is going to be deified. Oh my goodness, we're going to lose elections now. What will we do? Donald Trump's faction will grow louder. Oh no, J.D. Vance might get elected president. You know what the rest of us say? You just simply do this.
Yes.
I already told you we were happy. What more do you want? I understand Charlie Kirk's death. I understand his murder. I understand his passing, and I understand what's happening afterwards. And I also take the approach that many won't, because I know people want to be angry and they need to be angry. I get it. But God doesn't make mistakes. God took Charlie. An assassin killed him. But God took Charlie. I said this before, and I'll say it one more time. You know damn well, and I mean damn well, if you've ever had doubts in your life about one of the people who have passed away being with their Lord Jesus Christ, I know that every one of you know today that that is abundantly true when it comes to Charlie Kirk. You can't help but think that he is standing right beside Jesus Christ. You know it. You feel it.
Stay locked in. Reese on the radio is on WTIC News Talk 1080.
If I can, I want to reiterate something that I did last week. I want to say it was Thursday, right? It had to have been Thursday. And I talked about it in my opening monologue, talking about people who were upset about the comments online about the murder of Charlie Kirk. And I was trying to express to people that they need not look at this like this was a weird occurrence. Because, back in the days before social media, you wouldn't have to see it. And living your life today, some 60, 70 years from certain events, you can forget. Because, it's sort of commonplace. When you think about the death of certain people in our past, or the assassination for that matter, you couldn't fathom the idea that someone would be so cruel, right? It's like, no, it's like you're under this impression. It was like, wow, after the death of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., everybody became a unified society. Well, of course not. There were riots after the fact. But that's commonplace. The riots after come on, George Floyd, Michael Brown, not that those two are the same, but you get my meaning. But I want to read this, because if you missed it, this is important. Memphis, Tennessee, Richard Ely, president of the Memphis Citizens Council, addressed the Nashville Citizens Council, saying that John F. Kennedy died a tyrant's death. He was a tyrant, he said. In some schools in Mississippi, Louisiana, Alabama, and Dallas suburbs, students expressed joy at his murder. One small Connecticut city doctor called across the street to an internist who was a friend of his, saying that the joy ride is over. This is one deal that Papa Joe can't fix. And this was the one that got me. Well, this is one of the others. In Amarillo, Texas, a journalist reported people were rejoicing in the streets, with a woman crying out there, "Great, JFK is croaked." Diners smiling in response to a high school student who shouted the same thing. And this is the one that gets me. In a wealthy Dallas suburb, pupils in a fourth grade class burst into spontaneous applause upon hearing the news of JFK's assassination. When you hear that, you kind of go to yourself, really? Yes. Really? As I was thinking about it, I said to myself, this isn't new. And I knew it. I went to go look it up. I was like, yeah, give me the published reports after John F. Kennedy's assassination of people who celebrated. Took seconds. But it's not widely reported because it's give us the impression it was like, nah, everybody was on the same page. Come on. Really? Immediately after the death of John? Really? A divided country in the first place? That after his murder, people would be on the same page? That they miraculously just switched up and just said, oh, my bad. Come on.
The NAACP calls him, whoa, I don't think I'm allowed to read this.
It's Reese on the radio.
Let's just say some people are not fans.
On News Talk 1080 WTIC.
See, I don't know who these people are. I don't really follow them like that. But, again, folks, so you understand, it's not a both sides thing.
Not exactly like.
You need conservatives to be afraid of getting killed when they go to events so that they look to their leadership to turn down the temperature. The issue is right now, they don't feel like there's any fear. Like, I don't know. It's like memes.
That is a very popular left-wing podcaster. Do you get my point? Like, what do I need to do? What do I need to do? I mean, again, this stuff it shows up on my screen, and with the litany of stuff that gets sent to me by listeners. That one is sent to me by an actual news site, what do you call it? Aggregate that gives me all my news media clips that I want. Just shows them to me. Just said, hey, here you go, buddy. Here's another one. Here's one that makes your point, and it's right there. 860-522-WTIC. Let's go to Jim in Waterbury. Hello, sir.
Yes, how you doing, Reese?
I'm good, sir. What's up?
Yeah, I was first of all, short one, I was so upset with what the Democrats did and not respecting Charlie that I called Blumenthal, Murphy, and Hayes, and I just left a statement that your party is the party of black hearts and no soul. And then I was listening to Denise D'Souza on Salem News on September 18th.
Mm-hmm.
And he had a man on, and he was singling out who's funding
But you do know the 18th is in the future, right?
transgenders. And one of them, he's a former, he's immigrated to America.
Okay.
He made billions of dollars. And he's a socialist. His name is Neville Roy Singham. Him and his wife, Jody Evans, who's co-founder of anti-war group Code Pink.
Okay.
They live in Shanghai, China.
Yeah.
He's friends with the members of the Communist Party and gives huge sums of money to the transgender cause.
Correct.
In America, and also a Chinese billionaire gives huge sums of money to the transgender group. So I don't know if there's any way to cut off the head of the snake, but that's where the funding's coming from.
Well, you have to also consider the fact that, we already have an embedded society, right? We already have embedded in our society people who are of this ideology outside of the dark money, which is, again, a huge part because, again, that funding sort of fuels the rallies and showing up and doing all of these events. Sure, you might be able to cut off that, that particular spigot, right? You stop the funding of that, but that doesn't change the man or woman, for that matter, to stop following the ideology. The only way to tamp it down is to address it. Look, people may not like Donald Trump for saying it plain and simple, that it is a radical leftist ideology that's, again, creating this and telling people to go out into the streets and attack them. But that's something that I think that Donald Trump and even J.D. Vance have made mention to, that they have to get to the people who are funding it, that dark money coming into the country that's fueling these riots, as it were. Thank you, Jim. I appreciate you, sir. Let's go to Fulton in Waterbury. Hello, sir.
What's up, buddy? I want to hold some people accountable. First, Court. Is it the violence that she got? She asked for it. She got it a week later. Is that what she wanted? Or is it not enough?
Who are you talking? I'm sorry. I didn't get the name of the individual you just said.
Courtney.
Oh, yeah. About the she's mad at me because I didn't want to take her Epstein take on the whole thing.
Well, I don't know about that. I'm just asking. She's mad in general. She said we're calling for violence, and she said yes. So is this the violence she wanted? She got violence. Is this what she wanted?
No, and I'll tell you this, is that the worst part is that anybody who was calling for violence, they know the worst part about it is that it didn't turn anyone their way. Because
the worst part is most of them have been like the most violent situation they're in is like a cloudy day.
Yes,
so, like,
exactly.
We're calling for violence. What are you doing? Two, I got some more people to hold accountable really quick.
Yeah.
Justin Elliker, on your show, he said, meet your neighbor, right? So
Yep.
the girl met the guy on the trail there, the neighbor.
Yep.
Yeah, he raped her. And he had a rape in Texas. Who brought him here?
Yep.
Was that one of the guys they're protecting? The guy on the news? It was on Friday night?
Yeah.
To arrest. I'm just wondering, is this going to be a New Haven dad we protect, like for the Tong? Is he gonna hold doesn't want this guy deported?
Such a good point, because again, what happens? These guys will be in front of every camera. They will send out press releases when they get a kid out of detention and bring them back. But then when someone is attacked or loses their life, you can't find these guys with a statement. It's usually put in a social media post, or one of their lackeys is writing something to the press.
Right, they're all over the immigration thing, everything. Is this guy good? Well, I'd love to know. Do we want to keep this guy in our state, the double raper? The guy had a rape in Texas, then they shipped him here on a bus, and I'm sure he was a hardworking neighbor.
Yeah.
And then he raped somebody else. But, I guess citizens love it. Elliker.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm so glad that he thought that it was important enough for people to go out and meet their neighbors. And I'm sure that he'll walk back that claim. Well, I didn't mean this. Thank you,
right.
Fulton.
Him, okay. Just got one more thing.
Okay, real quick.
One more thing. Who would you go with? George Floyd or Charlie Kirk? Both are considered saints, right? I don't know, by one side. So you tell me, right? Like let's look at the people's path, for real.
I would say, look, and again, I understood the reason why George Floyd needed to be the saint for the left, because, again, the amount of momentum that came with his death, which, again, like when you get that kind of a firestorm or you get that kind of a response to it, you can deify that guy quickly and ignore everything. But that's what the spin does. In this new age.
I would love to sit with you for 30 minutes in that whole call when you come here and break it down like a cop and say, well, like, what did you want him to do here? Like, what did you want him to do here? Like, I don't understand the George Floyd thing, and it's going way back.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think, like I said, the George Floyd thing was just, it was a perfect storm at a perfect time that people could totally, I guess the best part about it was that there was a concerted effort by plenty of people on the left, news media included, that were able to turn that into something it wasn't. But it's great now because we can look back on it and sort of saying, maybe we were ahead of our skis. And a lot of people are going to end up embarrassed at the end of the day. Thank you, Fulton. I appreciate you, buddy. Let me take this before I go to Matty O. This is, he was, as Fulton was talking about this, I was thinking that the Charlie Kirk sort of phenomenon that's happening after the fact, you have to consider that the person that committed the act cannot be glorified. Now, think closely about this. This is an important dynamic in all of this. I just saw it recently. Somebody was on MSNBC still trying to associate Tyler Robinson with the Groypers, which, by the way, I said in a post the other day, I don't want to know who they are, and you guys couldn't stop. You couldn't stop sending me information about them. When I say I don't care and I don't want to know, it doesn't mean let me tell you about them. I'm not interested. But that's what I knew who they were. I knew I was going to find out who they were. I just wasn't interested in knowing. But they are trying to suggest that he was a Groyper. Now, why? Why were they trying to say that he was more right-wing than he was left-wing? Why? What was the importance of that? Because he is not a George Floyd type. He is not someone they can deify. So they must get rid of him. Get rid of him like the trash. Nope. Can't be associated with this guy. Let's call him everything else under the sun except one of ours. Because we know, and they do understand, how damaging it is to them politically. You can't win anything with that guy following your way of life. You can't. How are you going to go into a meeting and go, hey, yeah, we're the Democrat Party. We We gave rise to Tyler Robinson. You know, remember the guy who murdered Charlie Kirk in the middle of the day at a college campus? Yeah, that's one of ours. Yeah, you can't. Unsellable. So that's why you see all the panic and the screaming and the hollering. No, we don't know everything. Okay, well, hold on. We don't know everything. Let's get all the facts. Can we get all the facts? No. That's not what he said. I hate to make so much light of it, but I'm just making fun of the folks who were literally spinning around like a top. There was none of that, as I said last week, when it came to George Floyd, right? When we said, oh, are you certain about this? No. It was racist. He hated him because he was black. No conversation, huh? No, wait. Yeah, we got you. Let's go to Matty O. What's up, big guy?
Hello, Mr. Hopkins. Lots to unpack today. So I guess let me start with this. When people complain about Charlie Kirk's platform, that was not a platform that was handed to him. He built that platform.
Damn right.
And anyone else is willing to go out and build a platform for themselves. There was no turning point. He made it.
That's right.
And the second thing I just wanted to hit real quick was freedom of speech. It used to be freedom of speech was you can't get arrested for your speech. It doesn't mean there's no consequences for your speech. But nowadays, that's not even true because people do get arrested for speech.
That's right.
Nowadays. So it doesn't even, I don't even know how to think about that when people get arrested for so-called hate speech.
Right, and again, that's the reason why they started the distinction, was because if you normalize that phrase, hate speech, then we could legislate it.
But who says?
Who's the arbiter, right? Who's the arbiter
of that? Yeah.
That's exactly right. And again, going back, look, there are so many things that you can use as this. This is the reason why people have a hard time being able to get a conviction for hate crime legislation, right? You can be charged with the hate crime, but what happens most times when you charge someone with that? Usually the person is acquitted by it. Why? Because it's too arbitrary, right? You cannot define it, and it's really, really hard to determine and distinguish and in order to charge. So when people say, it's like, hey, why don't you charge them with hate crimes? You have no idea how difficult that is to convict on. Same thing with language.
I actually did not know. I did not know it was hard to convict on that.
Oh, yeah. Go check out the statistics. The statistics. Many prosecutors won't lead with it because they know that it is incredibly hard to determine. And you can fight it in court that it's not a hate crime because you almost have to ask yourself, isn't every crime got a monicum of hate in it? Why carve out a special punishment for it?
I thought the hate crime was like pretty much an additive to the crime. So you can add a hate crime.
It's a double dip.
To the crime, which doesn't mean that you can't get convicted of the original crime. The hate crime is just an added charge.
That's correct.
That's the way they did it.
But in essence, it is a double dip. I mean, that's what it's intended to do. It's to make the actual crime much harsher because it was involved in something related to race or gender or sexual orientation. But again, I've seen this. I've seen this in one case with this kid, Danny, that was charged with a hate crime. Right now, here's the thing. So he was charged with a hate crime because he and a friend beat up a gay guy who wrote graffiti over their gang symbol on the wall. And it was just a guy who just saw an opportunity to write some graffiti. He wasn't being sort of like he wasn't a rival to their gang. He just wrote some graffiti on top of their graffiti. Well, this kid, Danny, who knew the individual since he was a kid, he knew the guy, so he was very familiar with him. So when he approached him, the victim was comfortable around Danny. And Danny ended up beating him with his friend to a pulp so badly it ended up on one of those shocking video shows that you used to see on Fox. It ended up on there. It made mainstream news on the show. Anyway, when he was charged, he took a plea deal for 10 years, but they want to charge him with a hate crime. Now, again, the argument should have been, how can you charge someone with a hate crime who Danny has known most of his life and has known the guy was always gay? Can't be a hate crime out of thin air. It makes no sense. He's never attacked him in the years that he's known him. Now you're saying he attacked him because he was gay. That's the argument right there. So your hate crime charge is null and void. So that's why they abandoned it.
I was not familiar with that case, but yeah, I think that's the problem with all these hate crimes is how do you know what's in someone's heart when they commit a crime?
Boom.
How could you know that?
Exactly. You have to know their intent. And in most cases, you don't even need that, but you can't tell what's in a person's heart or why they did it. I mean, like I said, any crime that you commit against someone that's heinous, especially violent, kind of already implies that there's a hatred.
That's a good point.
Thank you, boss man. I appreciate you.
Bye.
Yeah, I'm just saying. That's what it is. Oh, we're getting ready to go to traffic and weather. Get on the phones, 860-522-WTIC. When we come back, we will give out our inaugural tickets to go see Greg Gutfeld and Tom Shalhoub at Foxwoods on the 21st at 6 p.m. at the Premier Theater. All right? Get on the phones now, and we'll pick a caller out there, and then we'll announce it in a bit. Let's get to weather and traffic, as I said, with Mark Christopher. He's in the BPS Traffic Center. Hey, Mark.
The hour that packs a punch. It's Reese on the radio on WTIC News Talk 1080.
Don't go anywhere, Roseanne. I just completely screwed up Hollywood News because I forgot the movie that we watched. Was it that horrible that you don't even remember it either? No, we didn't watch Wesley Snipes. Why would... The other black guy? Who was the other black guy? No, that one I've already talked about. We just watched a movie this weekend that we watched all the way to the end. And we were completely like it wasn't horrible, but it was okay. We were just kind of like laughing at it. Why am I forgetting it? It was that bad. Oh, it must have been that bad. Now I have to look up and see what movie it was. And I completely... Yeah, that's how bad it was. But I wanted to talk about it. I totally forgot the name of it. I cannot remember it. That's how bad Hollywood films are getting right now. Although the Emmys was last night, and what's his name? Bergazzi? What's his name? Nick Bergazzi? Is that his name? Yeah, he was actually funny, and I'm glad his opening monologue was kind of short. But he did one of the coolest and cruelest things in the world, and that was he put up a meter for the people who were going to be receiving awards, and they only had 45 seconds to give their speech. And he starts off the monologue by saying, I'm going to give the Boys and Girls Club $100,000. And if your speech is longer than 45 seconds, money is going to start ticking off the $100,000. No, but they were like, but if you do it shorter than the 45 seconds, the amount would go up. And there's one scene that's online. I just looked it up. I'm trying to find the actual footage of it. But apparently some guy won some award for a technical thing, and he went on and on and on. And during the broadcast, they put the Boys and Girls Club meter on there and watched the thousands of dollars tick down. And people were in the audience groaning about it because he was kind of shaming the guy. That was actually funny. Nick Bergazzi is actually a pretty good comedian. And, he's not political in any way, but I think he's hilarious. And he's a very clean comedian. We watched a couple of things by him, Roseanne, right? Nick Bergazzi. We watched a couple of events. Yeah, I think he's funny. He's very clean and very wholesome, which is, hard to do when everybody else is doing so, the raunchy stuff. Let's get a check of weather and traffic. Bob Larson's got weather, and Mark Christopher's in the BPS Traffic Center. You familiar with that guy, Mark? Nate Bergantzi. That's his name, Nate Bergantzi. I'm saying Nick. It's Nate.
It's Reese on the radio on News Talk 1080 WTIC.
I knew it wasn't. I don't know why I forgot it. It talks about how bad it was. Pete Davidson and Eddie Murphy did a movie together called The Pickup on Netflix. That was the movie we watched. Is it not on Netflix? Okay, it may have been on Apple TV or one of those things, but it was on Prime. It was on Amazon Prime. We watched that the other night. Why did we forget that fast? We watched the whole thing.
That's not even the star of the movie.
Who isn't the star of the movie? Who's the star of the movie? Eddie Murphy and Pete Davidson? They were the stars of the film. It was a buddy film.
No, it wasn't.
What was it then? Is Isn't Keke not the pickup?
Keke Palmer is the star of the movie.
Yeah, I mean, I know that she's one of the stars of the movie, but we don't care. It's Keke Palmer, which I thought was. There were a couple of funny lines that sort of referenced their other films. Like there's one part where they're driving in the truck, and Pete Davidson plays the Neutron Dance by the Pointer Sisters, and Eddie looks at him. Of course, that's from Beverly Hills Cop. And then there's another scene where Keke Palmer is trying to get away, and she's stopped by this 18-wheeler, and on the side of the 18-wheeler, the word "nope" from the sci-fi film that she was in. Oh, then they made a 9/11 reference towards Pete Davidson, which for some odd reason is a going joke, which I'm like not comfortable with. I'm like, dude, you guys are way too far with that. They do it all the time. Anyway, let me do this. I have to give a congratulations today to our winner, who is Anna S. from Glastonbury. She is our first winner of our Greg Gutfeld Live 25 show featuring Greg Gutfeld and special guest Tom Shalhoub, which is on Sunday, September 21st at 6 p.m. at the Premier Theater at Foxwoods Resort. If you would like to purchase tickets, go to foxwoods.com, and we'll be giving them away every day this week. So with your opportunity coming, and by the way, I am not giving it away the same time every day. Okay, so if you're trying to, my wife is already going, well, what about it? It's on the 21st. Today is the 15th. You want to go all the way to Foxwoods in the next couple of days? You do not know how to save money, woman. You don't. You just don't. Let me get to the phones. I got work to do. Let's go to Sean in Meriden. How are you, sir?
I'm good. Just a comment on, because I heard your little diatribe about Murphy.
Yeah.
And about a week ago, he did the same thing on a Sunday show in which he basically was calling to arms anybody who wants to take up his mantle and fight on their behalf.
Yes.
And I'm like, dude, you're a senator. Get your head out of your behind and grow up. You lost, and now you're indirectly saying, and as a social worker in the private sector, I know how to say something without saying something.
Yeah.
And
Good point.
That's what they're doing, and they are responsible. Tutti and Fruity.
Yeah, again, this is the thing where, look, this obsessive thing. I read the numbers and the stats. 90% of the stuff he posts is about Donald Trump. This is very, scary, if not concerning, and people should talk to him about it. It's like, you have other things that you can be discussing. You know that there are other problems in Connecticut that you can be addressing, be it housing, be it the homeless, be it anything for that matter, and you're never addressing them. You're doing world tours obsessing about Donald Trump and the threat to democracy, and it looks problem. It looks like a problem for you. And I think that he should just calm down, take a beat, and talk to somebody. But it seems very obsessive.
But if the left doesn't see, and the left hasn't said this, not one of them has said anything about decorum and about get out of this war mentality with the other half who voted for President Trump.
Yeah, exactly.
They have never left that. Matter of fact, they've doubled down on that and got more aggressive with it. In that he's a threat. How is he a threat to democracy when basically he's looking out for the American people and saying American people should have more money to keep in their pockets and have more choices and have more freedoms? If that's a threat to democracy, then the left definition of democracy is communism.
Yeah.
And that's what they're embracing.
I think that's what I think it's a
lifestyle.
fair argument. Thank you, boss man. I appreciate you.
Day.
You got
Keep
it.
up the good work.
Thank you, sir. Let's talk to somebody I haven't talked to in a while, all the way in Niagara Falls. Hello, Polly.
Oh, my, you forgot about Niagara Falls.
I didn't forget about them. I haven't been back up there at WBEN for a while, probably because, I got the gig here. But the minute that I do, I got to call my good friend Bellavia. I just saw him on Jesse Waters last week. I got to give him a holler.
Listen, regardless of the who, the how, the why, this assassination of this major name, which I got to admit, I didn't even know who he was.
Really?
I mean, I know his name, did not know anything about him until this happened. What is the divide and conquer? Distraction. What I see is a pattern. To me, it's pattern of JFK. He was not a JFK. He wasn't RFK.
Right.
But he was. He was and he wasn't. What happened after JFK? We had conspiracy theorists.
Sure.
Vietnam. What happened after 9/11? We had the NDAA and the CIA Smith-Munt Modernization Act. I see, to me, a turmoil brewing over all this with both sides. The right are they're fed up. We had the COVID and all that other stuff, and I see this back and forth. And yet, okay, here's my stance. I'm not okay. I would consider myself a libertarian now.
I always thought that about you. I always thought that about you, Polly.
Libertarianism, but I see this growing divide with the right against the left, and where they're really, really angry, and they're like, okay, really, let's really finally do something. And they get the left, who are always willing to do anything because they're bought and paid for. And I shouldn't say that about the left. They're not all, no.
Some of them are very influenced by their politics, and they are sort of guided by a principle that means that they are right and beyond reproach. And I think that's the most scathing thing I could say about people on the left, is that, and again, this is a byproduct of your usual casual conversation with them, Polly. I would say, and again, people's like, I'm not admonishing them. Usually on the left, it is a dyed-in-the-wool approach to politics, the way in which they see it. How do we know that? Because when you ask them, come on my program, come on any other conservatives' programs, there is a hesitance, right? There's a degree of like, I'm not going to go in there because I would never. But my question is, if you don't want the divide, if you want a common sense back and forth between the two, you would run at that invitation to have a conversation to win hearts and minds. But there's a reason why you don't, because in order for you to get your political ends, it's admonish people who don't agree with you instead of influence. And again, you don't need any other sort of litmus test than their own. And that is what happens when someone says, I don't think I want to be Democrat anymore because I don't stand for what you believe in. They will immediately attack you for your gender, your race, or whatever. And instead of saying, what can we do to get you back, they would sooner push you further away. So.
Okay, but here's another point. Okay, the left, we can't put them all, like we can't lump all groups into one group.
Sure.
We can't lump all white, black, Indian, whatever, into one group. Same way, this is where the perfect civil war, that's what has been used against the nations for centuries, is a perfect 50-50. North, south, east, west. It's usually north, south, but black, white, well, okay, that doesn't quite work in America.
I don't think it'll work in this. I don't think it'll work in the way in which the world, the country, I should say, not even the world, the country works today. But that's just another part. But thank you, Polly. I got to move on real quick because we're almost coming to the end of it. Thank you as always. The Civil War thing, in order to do that, and I've talked about this very early. I remember even having this conversation with Rudy in Florida. Was like, when people talk about the Civil War, what are we talking about? Neighbor versus neighbor? It's different. We actually had a group secede from the Union, create an army, and go to war. It did not happen overnight. The Confederate established itself as an army, as a country, if you will, and went against its brothers in the North, right? They had a president. They had an ideal. They had an army. They had a faction. That's how that worked. We live in a country where red, white, left, right, up, down, sideways live amongst one another. In order for that to happen, you really have to, states have to say, nope, no longer a part of the United States. A vote has to happen. We say, nope, we're not a part of the United States anymore to secede. And until that happens, it's just a bunch of people arguing, fighting with each other at best over a parking spot. The Civil War thing is a bit far-fetched, just a bit. I know that it's said for dramatics and it's said out of concern. I don't want to dismiss anybody's concern. I get it, but it takes a lot more. Civil wars don't just happen in a snap. Speaking of which, I wanted to talk about this before I get out of here, and I'll get back to your phone calls, I promise. But I said that I was going to go after some people on the right, and I have to with one commentator, and that's Glenn Beck. And Blaze Media, nothing against them. I don't even have anything against Glenn Beck. But this particular commentary that he gave was really troubling to me, and it bothered me in a sense that I feel if it gains traction, it will sully Charlie Kirk's name. Charlie Kirk's movement exists. It doesn't need the creation of something else. It doesn't need any molding. It doesn't need any polishing. It is. Charlie is who he is. And because Charlie Kirk happened organically, his legacy should do the same, in my opinion. I'm not omnipotent here. I don't get to say, I'm just giving my opinion why I have a problem. Glenn Beck said that we need to call Charlie Kirk appropriately a civil rights leader. No, we do not. Don't even start that one. Charlie Kirk was never a civil rights leader. Ever. He was just having conversations with people who opposed him. If there was anything he was a conversationalist and a thinker and a Christian. But he doesn't need a moniker. Civil rights are associated with Jesse Jackson, Benjamin Crumb, Al Sharpton. Please do not sully that man's name. For the love of goodness, please don't. That civil rights thing, that's done. It's been done, and it's been washed up and useless for a long time. It doesn't even have the gravitas it used to. Just let it happen organically. Charlie Kirk is. That's enough. We're not trying to make him Jesus Christ. We're not trying to make him the second coming. He's just Charlie Kirk. And trust me when I tell you, if you've been paying attention, that's enough. It is. It's enough. For all of us. So, we'll get into that. I hear Donald Trump's going into Memphis. I'd have picked another city, but I love Memphis. It's one of my favorite places. Sans the violence. Memphis is still one of my favorite places to visit. I've talked about that place a lot. I remember I would never stop talking about it, especially my first experience going to the Lorraine Motel and how that affected me in such a profound way, and meeting the woman who still sits outside and protests her removal from that hotel. I think I still have her flyer around here. I talked about her when I was there not too long ago. I've had 3 trips to the Lorraine Motel in my life. I tell everybody, if you get a chance, get there.
The Odyssey app lets you jump back to the moments you missed from WTIC News Talk 1080. Download the free Odyssey app, search WTIC News Talk 1080, and tap earlier today to get started.
Yeah, make sure you download that Odyssey app as soon as possible. Just go to WTIC.com or just go to Odyssey.com in order to do that as well. It's what had happened was, and the thing that I said earlier today, and I'm going to post it that whole monologue about Chris Murphy. But before I do that, I want to play you this. And again, this is why I suggested a healthcare professional be met by Chris Murphy. It was last week. Chris Murphy was talking about we are at war. And now, all of a sudden, he has to change the tune. These are his exact words from last week, what, a day before Charlie Kirk's murder? And now today, saying that he didn't say the other thing. Listen.
We're in a war right now to save this country. And so you have to be willing to do whatever is necessary in order to save the country.
We look today at the left or the right as the enemy. And it's worth us stepping back and understanding how we reclaim a sense of ourself.
Now, again, right? Sounds like a mea culpa, right? It's like, we are at war. And there's like, oh, we need to stop the division. But again, Chris Murphy, like a crackhead, he needs help. Next line.
That maybe is not so rooted in politics, which is inherently oppositional. There has been a permissiveness about political violence, and I do think the President of the United States has to answer for the way in which he's created that culture of permissiveness.
He just can't. He can't. The fact that his party would not pull him aside and go, Chris, stop. Okay? That guy, that Reese on the radio guy, he's got a good point, man. I don't like him either. Okay, but, seriously, 90% of people online are calling you very, very unkind things. Oh, yeah, we have that stat too. It's right here. We have it. Chris Murphy, overall view is an abomination. It's like really, really bad. 90% of the people who have viewed his online stuff is bad. Negative or critical. 90% heavy focus on hypocrisy and blame for violence. Yeah. Only 15% support him and his online presence. 5% neutral. 5. Did I get that? Yeah. No, I'm sorry. 10%. Yeah. I don't know how you got 5%. None of that matches. It's like 110%. Nonetheless, it ain't good. What's up, everybody? You know who it is.
You know who it is. You know who it is.
It's Reese on the radio. Frederick Douglass of the 21st century.
It's WTIC News Talk 1080.
Oh, Jim Himes is getting in on it. Come on, bro. Come on. Democrat Rep Himes plays victims and attacks Republicans for seizing on Charlie Kirk's murder. Seizing on it. It's falling short. It's just, again, it just falls short. It's got no facts, no basis in reality. This is exactly what happens when you know you're losing and it affects you in a negative way. You can't come back from it. You'll try. You'll think that the dust is settled. You'll wait until that happens and you'll try to ratchet it up again. But that's dunzo, as we used to say. It is. It just is. Ridiculous at best. To try to pin it on. You could do that on MSNBC. You could do that on CNN. They've got to salvage their viewership. They've got to salvage their reputation in some way. They all need to pretend right now like everything that happened didn't happen into the lead up. They have to pretend, you didn't see any of that, even though it's on video, even though we've been chronicling this stuff. I've got tons of it. I had to buy a what do you call it? One of those storage things, a complete terabyte for all of the video clips that I can go to and just put in a word. Tons of them pop up. Years of doing my podcast since 2012. of the same old rhetoric. I could literally press play and it would fill up the 4 hours, commercial free. They all know that this is, and again, and the constant trying to fix it post-murder, trying to say, no, it wasn't associated with us. We didn't do it. We had nothing to do with it. It's nonsense. Let's go one step further. I guess they'll tell us that this wasn't real either, that none of this happened on their watch. I remember it well.
Someone threw a Molotov cocktail at a Tesla service center. At least 5 Teslas blew up. When you pull out a chainsaw to celebrate firing thousands of people, they get mad. It's just
Let's send these techno-fascist, oligarchs, and old-fashioned Nazis a message loud and clear.
The vandalism really shows the outright anger and rage that people are feeling about what Elon Musk is doing.
We should all be protesting in the streets about this and be incredibly angry.
It has taken the American people to go protest at Tesla to get the president's attention.
Try to dismantle the reputation of Tesla in hopes of hitting Elon Musk where it hurts.
He's incompetent. He's a thief. He's a Nazi.
Musk is a pathological liar. He's a criminal. He's a sociopath and a ghoul. He's literally killing people, but he should really enjoy taking this guy down.
That was John Cusack. I can't even watch his movies anymore. Even the old ones. Even the really good ones. I can't do it.
All I want to see happen on my birthday is for Elon to be taken down.
If you drive a Tesla, please sell it. And if you own stock in Tesla, please dump it.
I've never wanted to buy a Tesla because I prefer to buy cars made by car companies, not computer companies.
I added Tesla to give me a little boost during the day. 225 and dropping.
Tesla's tanking right now, and I'm okay with that.
Tesla is a meme stock. It is one of the most wildly overinflated stock.
Tesla stock is way down. Please don't ever vandalize Tesla vehicles. And so
they're taking to the streets or the parking lots.
Tonight, the FBI and ATF now investigating multiple cases of possible arson.
Oh, you guys like petty acts of domestic terrorism, huh?
Please spare us. You're going to act like none of that happened. That's what, again, and you don't have, the worst part is that you don't own the mediascape anymore. You don't. Videos like this are flooding online, social media. The kids are seeing it. You remember that nonsense they used to tell us all the time, I'm concerned about Donald Trump and our children hearing the way that he talks. Yeah, back at you. Back at you. We're listening to the way that you talk, what you applaud, what you celebrate, what you post online. Yeah, it's all there. It's interesting to watch on the other side, huh? Kurt is in Glastonbury. Hello, Kurt.
Hello, Mr. Hopkins. I actually listen in so I can hear from Mark from West Hartford, and you happen to get in the way.
My apologies.
I've been thinking all weekend about something you said last Friday, I believe, and then you said it again today.
Mm-hmm.
And pushback might be too strong of a word, but I did want to comment on it. I'm raised a Roman Catholic, baptized, First Communion, and everything in that line.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't believe that God killed Charlie Kirk.
I don't think I said that. I said the word I'd used was took, but I said the assassin killed him.
I stand corrected, but let me then rephrase my concern. I don't think God took. He's in his arms. I understand that.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think it was an act of God. It was an act of Satan.
Mm-hmm.
And what you're seeing now, in my opinion, is God's work.
Gotcha.
Those guys that tried to save them, that was God's work.
Mm-hmm.
The people that are rallying, we're going to have a vigil on the 21st here in Glastonbury. I think all of that is God's work.
Okay. But I don't want to say. Well, you said pushback. I don't feel that your commentary was any pushback. If it's okay, do you mind if I call it a difference of opinion?
Yes, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Because I said I thought pushback might be too strong.
Yeah, I don't take that. When I say certain things, and that's a very important thing that I need to say. I have never once believed that my point of view can never be challenged on that. And I love the fact that you called in and that was important enough to you to make a statement about as sort of a difference of opinion, because I think that's fair. I see what you're saying. Like, we need to focus on this in the sense of the actions of the shooter who took his life was the act of Satan. Fair, absolutely fair argument. I can't dispute it. And I talk, not only do I feel it, I can agree with it. But let me explain what I mean by took, right? Because you have a lot of people who suggest, and I used to do this, and I kind of take a childlike wonder to it. I remember one of my kids saying that if God exists, why does he let kids starve? Or why does he? Because it's sort of that perspective is that even though there is a Satan, they still see God as the omnipotent one, right? They sort of see Satan in a sense, a secondary role, right? He's a guy who's mischievous and creates evil in the world, but God, he's so powerful. Why doesn't he prevent it? And I sort of, as of late, in my sobriety and in a lot of other things in my spirituality, when I look at the word of God, when I say that term, took Charlie Kirk, I say that it is something that you and I cannot understand, that in all of this is sort of in God's design, that even in peril, even in bad outcomes, that in God's design, it is for something greater that you nor I can understand, because we are of the flesh and we see things based upon our experiences and how we're raised and see things as a black and white, where God sees it in a completely different way, because in essence, it is his plan. So when I say God took them, it's an understanding in my view, and maybe I should articulate it better, is that God is the arbiter of this whole thing. So that's kind of the way I was phrasing it.
Yeah, when my mother died of cancer when I was 26 years old, and I went to church and I said to the pastor, "Is it okay to be mad at God?" And he said, "Yeah, of course it is." And then I read this book, When Bad Things Happen to Good People. It was by a Reverend Harold Kushner, I believe his name was.
Okay.
And his son died of ageism disease. He aged really quickly.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
And it's a very good book for an understanding of how God really works, that while God may not have been able to save his boy, it's the things that happen afterwards, the nurses and the people, the therapy. My neighborhood gave us meals and all kinds of support when my mother was sick. So that, to me, that's God's work.
Gotcha. Do you think God is to a degree absent at the moment of tragedy?
Wow, that's a heavy question for me.
I know. Okay, no, that's and you have to understand that's where because in this conversation, that's the understanding of where I am in the death of Charlie Kirk, or the death of anyone, is that I always believe that God is present in those moments. Because again, we can look. You answered my question before I could even ask it. When you said, you asked a pastor, could you be angry at God for taking your mom? Because you're saying that in that very simple way, you're kind of saying that God should have intervened because you see him as always present. Like that was something he could have controlled. But I look at it in a broader scope that says that even when we are thinking something bad is happening to us, God is doing something for us. That in a way, Charlie Kirk's death, as you said, after the fact when your mom passed, or even after Charlie Kirk dies, that God is working thereafter. But in order to accept that, we must then say that God was not present at the moment that bullet struck. And I don't believe that. I believe God was always present and is present at everything that happens in our lives, good and bad.
Yes, I agree with you. And also that I have seen that video, and there's just so much the human body can take.
Yeah.
I don't know how else to describe it. an assault like that.
Yeah.
was
I
very
wanted to
vicious.
believe. I wanted to believe, Kurt. I wanted to believe that he was going to make it.
Oh, I did too. I mean, it's, and the other thing I'll say about him is, like you, I think you said earlier today, you didn't follow him, but you were aware of him.
Yeah.
I would see these clips on Instagram, so I knew who he was. But I did not realize the impact he had on the world.
Yeah.
There are people that are going to church because of him. There are people that are reading the Bible because of him. And now I'm getting emotional.
Yeah. No, and you know what? It's appropriate. Let me tell you why. Because I think what you just illustrated right here, Kurt, is you started by saying you were like me. You didn't really know much about him, but you had seen him around. And his passing has had an indelible effect on you. And an absolute, it's almost like his passing was greater than his existence, right?
Yes, I just told my chiropractor that a half hour ago.
Yeah.
His impact in death is larger than it will have been in life.
Yes, exactly.
As much as he was very smart. I have a college education, but this guy could have put me under the ringer with his recall.
Who was at his memorial yesterday? I think it was. I want to say it was Tulsi Gabbard or someone else, but one of the women who spoke from the cabinet said about Charlie Kirk that Charlie Kirk didn't need college. College needed Charlie Kirk.
Yep.
And that is exactly who he was and the impact that he has. And even as you get emotional about it, and I think we all have gotten a little emotional about it, some parts of it as we feel, like as my brother said, that we were all robbed of something, that something was taken away from us, because having him here gave us an opportunity to think and to speak and to challenge ourselves. And him not being here almost feels like something was taken away that we can't get back. But I don't believe that. I think we got more out of Charlie in his passing than we did while he was alive.
Yeah, that I happen. It's sad, but I happen to agree with that.
Yeah.
His impact is going to be lasting. For
Indeed.
a long time.
Indeed. Thank you, Kurt.
Even though.
Oh yeah, last thing. Go ahead. Say the last thing. I'm sorry.
Well, two last things. Even though there's downside to social media, he'll be present on it for a number of years.
Oh yeah.
The last thing I want to say is, don't move to Farmington. Come to Glastonbury.
We'll look into it. I promise we'll look into it now that you've mentioned it.
I'll be happy to show you around. It's a great community. A lot of history. We're on the banks of the Connecticut River. You will not be disappointed.
You know what? That's an invitation enough. Thank you, Kurt. I appreciate the time.
You bet. Thank you.
You're welcome, sir. All right, folks, that's our show for today. As I always say, radio is free, so we thank you for paying attention. And remember to keep JC in your hearts and in your minds. Sean Patrick, we love you and we miss you. Remember that panic is not planning, so plan your work and work your plan. Me, I'm Reese on the radio. You have a good night, pleasant tomorrow. We'll see you back here next time. Mark Christopher, he's in the BPS Traffic Center. We will see you guys mañana. Good night, Mark.
Hey, good night, Reese. Have a great one. And if you're making your way into Hartford right now, this traffic report being brought to you by Columbia.
All right, good sir.
That's a damn good call.
And,
yeah, that was a good call.
Yeah. The downtown Hartford.
All right, sir.
Let's
begin.
We are still seeing some delays, though.
The week has begun.
All
right, see you mañana.
See you mañana.
To Berkeley, out to exit 48 Asylum Street. Southman 91 delays 33 to 32. Northman 91 no issues. Cromwell through downtown up into Windsor.
All right, everybody. Yep, next 21. Nancy, I am going to see this. Is this Okay, I will take a look at this, Nancy. It's a lot for a chat room. I wish you had sent it to me personally, but I will look at it and I'll go over it and see if we can incorporate it in the show tomorrow. And I thank you for posting it. Oh yeah, I love that too. Rest in peace, Charlie. We'll take it from here. 100% right. All right, you guys have a wonderful night. I will see you guys mañana. Stand by for clips and all that good stuff. And by the way, if I didn't do it before, thank you so much, folks. All of you who have shared the Chris Murphy post. I think it's well over 9,000 views, and it's been shared some 800 times. If that's right, or maybe I'm wrong. Let me double check. I don't know how many times it was shared. It looks like it was shared Yeah, it was hearted. Yeah, it was shared over 400 times. It's been viewed over 9,000 times. So I appreciate you all for doing that. I will see you guys tomorrow. Be good to each other, all right? You know I love you. Holler.